Alright, so recently I finished playing through Bayonetta 2, so got some various gameplay in the background here of my playthrough for the first two entries in the series. This game was a little interesting because I feel like it's been the first time in a while that I've played a sequel as good as this one that didn't go the pushing things forward and innovating on the series or the industry as a whole type approach. These weapons Bayonetta has right now definitely reminding me of Chainsaw Man. But yeah, for Bayonetta, it was a safe sequel, I felt like. Kind of, a few new features and ideas, but mostly more of the first game. I believe it was a little longer too. But it works because these games weren't super long. It's not like it's an annual franchise. It had been a while between entries, and I don't know Platinum's full history, but I'm pretty sure they worked on stuff in between. So it may not have felt like you were missing anything. And hell, I've heard, a lot of good things about the series, but I feel like people give Nintendo a lot of credit for keeping it going because it seems, especially at this time, to be relatively niche, at least compared to, some of the really big franchises Bayonetta has stood alongside in Smash, or even her biggest competitor, Devil May Cry. I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating a bit here, but yeah, not every sequel needs to break bank, especially with how hot of a topic that's been here in 2025 and the last couple of years of the gaming industry. If it's a really good game and it's, maybe been a generation, I think most people would be happy and satisfied with, revisiting the series with, maybe a couple new bells and whistles and, some of the new technology and graphical capabilities of the new generation. I mean, this game, had to have done well enough at least to have gotten another entry and even a spin-off at this point. So I don't know, hopefully more people sort of look at stuff like this and, take some notes. But yeah, I'm really loving the Platinum action and tone that I've gotten in the few games from them I've played so far, being the Bayonettas and Metal Gear Rising. I was more excited than I should have been when I picked up the Rules of Nature book, a collectible in this game. Of course, if you don't know, iconic moment from Metal Gear Rising, I had to very quietly, of course, scream, "Rules of Nature!" I don't know how the mic will pick that up, but yeah, I had to when I found that. I'm not even that good at these games either. Like, I've been kind of wondering, like, I saw you can kind of really quickly swap weapons. And that's not something I really did, but I am kind of curious as to what sort of combos you can pull off with all the different combinations you can have with your different sets and going back and forth real quickly between them. I think there could be some really impressive stuff some people are probably capable of. Or if you can't do that, that's certainly an area they could go that has a lot of potential to be expanded upon. I will say I did play Devil May Cry 2 in between the two Bayonettas, and one thing I kind of wish Bayonetta did a little different based on that, this is a really minor complaint, but I don't feel like combos feel as rewarding, at least in terms of maybe the score in that. Like Devil May Cry just did it so well with, the different side pop-ups and names for when you hit a certain key number with your total combo. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I forget to even really pay much attention to the combo thing they have on the side there. Still really fun when you get a good groove going, but it just feels more rewarding when the game lets you know in a bigger way, I guess. I don't know, because you don't want to copy Devil May Cry. I wonder if even, just having different colors or something that kind of pop out more when you get, times two, times three, or whatever in Bayonetta. Maybe it's a little more faded and hard to see in the beginning, but it really stands out when you get up to, 8 or 9 times. Maybe you make it a little bigger as you go along. You don't want to go too far with that either, though. I don't know, just spitballing here. I will say I do have kind of mixed opinions on the final 3 levels of the main campaign. Spoiler alert, I guess, for them, but not gonna lie, the mechs were cool, but I just didn't find them to really feel fun to play as. And then I don't remember if it was the level before or after, but I remember my favorite levels are the ones that kind of have a mix of exploration and then different breaks with some combat areas. However, some of the last levels really, I'm thinking of one in particular that, like I said, was pretty much towards the end, had very minimal exploration, even though it was kind of framed up, at least at a certain point, to seem like there would be. But there might be like one like hallway to go through and like a collectible on the side that might have a fun challenge, but I like the back and forth and was missing that there. Although they did come back for a pretty good final level. Even though there wasn't a lot of exploration, there's kind of an on-rail shooter segment that I just thought was really fun. And without even knowing, like I knew there was Nintendo outfits in this game, but I didn't realize the quality they put into them. Like I thought it was just going to be, a little cosmetic thing. But you've got, different sound effects and different animations for certain things. Like the Samus one, when you sprint, you turn into the morph ball thing instead of the panther like Bayonetta would. And right there in that final level, I had the fox skin on, so you were the R-Wing there too. Funny that it wasn't even the first time on Wii U I played as an R-Wing in a rail shooter by Platinum. This one was a bit better, though. No weird controls. Speaking of being on rails, one other thing I wanted to mention too is that there are some boss fights that kind of have an on rails feeling. I don't know if they're technically all the way on rails or if you kind of just have more restricted movement. But I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't get into them as much in the game. I mean, some of them like they are really cool theatrically, but I just don't think they play as fun as just having complete control over your movement. I guess. Oh yeah, because I just noticed now I was trying out a new weapon. May have just been for the boss there. That's one of the main reasons too. Like I'm bumping my mouse a lot right now for some reason. I normally don't when recording these, but I played on easy mode, and I'll even admit I normally don't care that much, but especially like later on, like I felt like it was almost too easy. Like I said, not that I'm that good. I wound up going back and collecting some of the different collectibles I missed, and when I did the levels again, I did them on normal. I think was it second. I don't remember what they call it. I think it's just first, second, third, whatever. I did do the first level on the third too, and made it through. I think I could do the game on 2, but I don't know about 3. I did do some of the later levels, but what worried me late game with 2 was, like I said, I wasn't doing too hot against some of the bosses, especially the ones that were on rails. I don't know. That part of that's on me too. I should have made more use of, buying healing items and using them more. Since I only utilized the ones I got for free, which wasn't a lot, I felt like. Unless, because, yeah, that was the only one I used, because I know you have a couple different items. Maybe because you have 3. I think the green is health. I forget what the other colors are, but one might be health and your meter that you have right underneath the health, and one is meter. That's my guess, though. My logical assumption, but who knows. Now, there was probably other inventory stuff, too. I kind of forgot. There was kind of some boosters in that, too, that I didn't take advantage of either. So, I don't know, I didn't feel like getting into it, but like I said, maybe that push from higher difficulty would have, but I liked this experience without dealing with it, and I don't know how much that would have really enhanced, at least, what I was going for here. One thing that didn't help is that something I hope they change with the third game, because I'm pretty sure the first one didn't do this either, but they also didn't track the different health and meter collectibles you get so that you kind of know what you're missing when you go back through. I collected everything but them and the crows because I had like 3 crows missing and it was like 1 per level, and I just didn't want to redo some of these levels, some of them for a third time, because I was stupid and messed up when I was collectible hunting the second time. But I don't know, even if they just tracked that, I had blank out of blank of the health and meter pieces, maybe that would have given me a little extra motivation. And you hate to see a game that, like I said, you really like, sort of miss out on a seemingly easy way to kind of keep you hooked in. Outside the main campaign, though, there's also a multiplayer mode. I think I mentioned before I'm playing the Wii U version, so unfortunately I couldn't try online. Hopefully you still can if you have the Switch version. But luckily you can still play with this CPU. I was really happy about that, and honestly kind of surprised. I feel like that's almost a rarity now. Or even, back when this game came out, it was fading quick. But yeah, still got to experience all the maps they had there, which were kind of similar to what you have here, just different challenges in this arena type thing, and some boss runs in that, and you got a second player going, and I could imagine it being really fun actually playing with someone. I remember playing other kind of similar, beat 'em up stuff, and having competitions at, who can take out the most enemies and perform the best, and this hit that very nicely. Although I don't know that you can select your difficulty. I think that's just for the map though, and not for the actual CPU that you're with, if I'm correct. But it's pretty challenging. We were back and forth even a lot of the times. I felt like the CPU would wind up getting the edge more of the time though. I don't really know how exactly to sort of maximize, because you're going for who can get the most halos, which I assume has to do with, damage and takedowns and some different combos between, your multiplier and perhaps, different attacks and that you can do. They don't let you swap weapon sets, which I found interesting. Like I said earlier, that's where I can imagine people getting, really creative in that if possible, but maybe you'll see that down the line, who knows? Actually, some people may know because there's already another game out. I'm a little behind here. Here, I wasn't lying about having some footage here from the first Bayonetta game. I don't know. I was planning to go back and forth or something, but I don't know. When I got into the flow of things, I don't know if it felt as right. But it's been a little while since I played the first one, so like I'm pretty sure it didn't have the multiplayer. I don't think it had some of those witch trial things that I was doing in the other footage I had, and probably a few other minor stuff that's just, not at the top of my head, that I honestly just don't remember whether or not this game had to or not. Wouldn't really surprise me either way. I remember this was a fun level. I do wonder, in the grand scheme of things, with them being so similar, if, like, obviously 2 is fresh on my mind, but I wonder if, almost the way I think of this game, like, I might, particularly remember really liking the level in 2 where you go back and forth between Inferno and Paradiso. But I just wonder if I'm going to get to a point eventually where it's like, oh, I really like that level, but I don't remember if it was in the first game or the second game, or some of the memorial levels here, like this one. I remember an airport one that was pretty fun too. The only thing I think for sure I'll remember is, I guess a spoiler alert too, is the Baldur fights were pretty fun. Kind of having a rival, sort of more at your gameplay-esque style opponent, if that makes any sense. I don't know if they did that in this one. I don't remember. I mean, maybe Jean could have had that kind of role at some point. But yeah, this is the reason I have footage for this one, actually, is because This is, I guess, what you can maybe say a lost video on this channel. I was initially planning to do a video on this, but I wasn't sure I had enough to talk about, so I thought I would play the second game and talk about both. And I thought, surely, I'll get to it real quick. And I looked at the creation date of this footage, and it was almost 2 years ago, like closer to when I first started doing stuff on this channel. April of 2 years ago, and it's, February 25 now. But yeah, I think things still kind of turned out the way they probably would have. Like, I don't know, maybe I would have made a few more notes about this game, but I see the turrets there. I think you got to pilot them at some point. I was kind of flipping through some of the footage earlier, too, and there was kind of an interesting sort of puzzle a little later on in this level, too. So I don't know, maybe some of the exploration in this one was a little better at first glance. But yeah, just like this, it probably would have just been me comparing them, making a lot of, the same points, because a lot of them are applicable to both. But yeah, I mean, so far, you really can't go wrong with these games if you like, over-the-top confidence and action. I know I do, and I'm, looking forward to, Bayonetta 3, more Devil May Cry, and, Platinum games in general.